Welcome.
Great to have you with us. If you're finding us through Apple Podcasts, Amazon, or Audible, our newer platforms, welcome. This lesson is, well, a really significant point in the workbook, building on the foundation we've been laying.
That's right. As we always do, we'll read the full text of Lesson 153 first, then we'll explore it together.
Let's read.
In my defenselessness, my safety lies.
You who feel threatened by this changing world, its twists of fortune and its bitter jests, its brief relationships and all the gifts it merely lends to take away again, attend this lesson well. The world provides no safety. It is rooted in attack, and all its gifts of seeming safety are illusory deceptions. It attacks and then attacks again. No peace of mind is possible where danger threatens thus. The world gives rise but to defensiveness. For threat brings anger. Anger makes attack seem reasonable, honestly provoked, and righteous in the name of self-defense. Yet is defensiveness a double threat, for it attests to weakness and sets up a system of defense that cannot work. Now are the weak still further undermined, for there is treachery without and still a greater treachery within. The mind is now confused and knows not where to turn to find escape from its imaginings.
It is as if a circle held it fast, wherein another circle bound it, and another one in that, until escape no longer can be hoped for nor obtained. Attack, defense, defense, attack become the circles of the hours and the days that bind the mind in heavy bands of steel with iron overlaid, returning but to start again. There seems to be no break nor ending in the ever-tightening grip of the imprisonment upon the mind.
Defenses are the costliest of all the prices which the ego would exact. In them lies madness in a form so grim that hope of sanity seems but to be an idle dream, beyond the possible. The sense of threat the world encourages is so much deeper and so far beyond the frenzy and intensity of which you can conceive that you have no idea of all the devastation it has wrought.
You are its slave. You know not what you do in fear of it. You do not understand how much you have been made to sacrifice, who feel its iron grip upon your heart. You do not realize what you have done to sabotage the holy peace of God by your defensiveness. For you behold the Son of God as but a victim to attack by fantasies, by dreams, and by illusions he has made, yet helpless in their presence, needful only of defense by still more fantasies, and dreams by which illusions of his safety comfort him.
Defenselessness is strength. It testifies to recognition of the Christ in you. Perhaps you will recall the text maintains that choice is always made between Christ's strength and your own weakness, seen apart from him. Defenselessness can never be attacked, because it recognizes strength so great attack is folly, or a silly game a tired child might play when he becomes too sleepy to remember what he wants.
Defensiveness is weakness. It proclaims you have denied the Christ and come to fear his Father's anger. What can save you now from your delusion of an angry God, whose fearful image you believe you see at work in all the evils of the world? What but illusions could defend you now, when it is but illusions that you fight?
We will not play such childish games today, for our true purpose is to save the world. And we would not exchange for foolishness the endless joy our function offers us. We would not let our happiness slip by because a fragment of a senseless dream happened across our minds, and we mistook the figures in it for the Son of God, its tiny instant for eternity.
We look past dreams today and recognize that we need no defense because we are created unassailable, without all thought or wish or dream in which attack has any meaning. Now we cannot fear, for we have left all fearful thoughts behind. And in defenselessness we stand secure, serenely certain of our safety now, sure of salvation, sure we will fulfill our chosen purpose as our ministry extends its holy blessing through the world.
Be still a moment, and in silence think how holy is your purpose, how secure you rest, untouchable within its light. God's ministers have chosen that the truth be with them. Who is holier than they? Who could be sure that his happiness is fully guaranteed? And who could be more mightily protected? What defense could possibly be needed by the ones who are among the chosen ones of God, by his election and their own as well?
It is the function of God's ministers to help their brothers choose as they have done. God has elected all, but few have come to realize his will is but their own. And while you fail to teach what you've learned, salvation waits and darkness holds the world in grim imprisonment. Nor will you learn that light has come to you and your escape has been accomplished. For you will not see the light until you offer it to all your brothers. As they take it from your hands, so will you recognize it as your own.
Salvation can be thought of as a game that happy children play. It was designed by one who loves his children and who would replace their fearful toys with joyous games, which teach them that the game of fear is gone. His game instructs in happiness because there is no loser. Everyone who plays must win, and in his winning is the gain to everyone insured. The game of fear is gladly laid aside when children come to see the benefits salvation brings.
You who have played that you are lost to hope, abandoned by your father, left alone in terror in a fearful world, made mad by sin and guilt, be happy now. That game is over. Now a quiet time has come, in which we put away the toys of guilt and lock our quaint and childish thoughts of sin forever from the pure and holy minds of heaven's children and the Son of God.
We pause but for a moment more to play our final happy game upon this earth, and then we go to take our rightful place where truth abides and games are meaningless. So is the story ended. Let this day bring the last chapter closer to the world, that everyone may learn the tale he reads of terrifying destiny, defeat of all his hopes, his pitiful defense against a vengeance he cannot escape, is but his own deluded fantasy. God's ministers have come to waken him from the dark dreams the story has evoked in his confused, bewildered memory of this distorted tale. God's Son can smile at last on learning that it is not true.
Today we practice in a form we'll maintain for quite a while. We will begin each day by giving our attention to the daily thought as long as possible. 5 minutes now becomes the least we give to preparation for a day in which salvation is the only goal we have. 10 would be better, 15 better still. And as distraction ceases to arise to turn us from our purpose, we will find that half an hour is too short a time to spend with God. Nor will we willingly give less at night in gratitude and joy.
Each hour adds to our increasing peace as we remember to be faithful to the will we share with God. At times, perhaps a minute, even less, will be the most that we can offer as the hour strikes. Sometimes we will forget. At other times, the business of the world will close on us, and we will be unable to withdraw a little while and turn our thoughts to God.
Yet when we can, we will observe our trust as ministers of God, an hourly remembrance of our mission and His love. And we will quietly sit by and wait on Him and listen to His voice and learn what He would have us do the hour that is yet to come, while thanking Him for all the gifts He gave us in the one gone by.
In time, with practice, you will never cease to think of Him and hear His loving voice guiding your footsteps into quiet ways, where you will walk in true defenselessness. For you will know that heaven goes with you. Nor would you keep your mind away from Him a moment, even though your time is spent in offering salvation to the world. Think you, He will not make this possible for you who chose to carry out His plan for the salvation of the world and yours.
Today our theme is our defenselessness. We clothe ourselves in it as we prepare to meet the day. We rise up strong in Christ and let our weakness disappear as we remember that His strength abides in us. We will remind ourselves that He remains beside us through the day and never leaves our weakness unsupported by His strength. We call upon His strength each time we feel the threat of our defenses undermine our certainty of purpose. We will pause a moment as He tells us, "I am here."
Your practicing will now begin to take the earnestness of love to help you keep your mind from wandering from its intent. Be not afraid nor timid. There can be no doubt that you will reach your final goal. The ministers of God can never fail because the love and strength and peace that shine from them to all their brothers come from Him. These are His gifts to you. Defenselessness is all you need to give Him in return. You lay aside but what was never real, to look on Christ and see His sinlessness.
So, Lesson 153. That opening statement, "In my defenselessness, my safety lies." It really feels like Lesson 152 set this up, didn't it? Establishing that we are the decision maker.
It's the direct application. Because we know we choose our state of mind, we can consciously choose to lay down defenses. Safety isn't something we build or earn through worldly action.
It's just inherent. And letting go of the need to defend is how we access it.
Exactly. The lesson is quite clear about why identifying with the world forces us into defensiveness. The world itself, as perceived by the ego, is structured around conflict. Seeking peace there is futile.
Right, because the world seems to constantly provoke a defensive reaction. Threat brings anger, anger makes attack seem justified, even righteous self-defense.
But the lesson calls this defensiveness a double threat. It confirms our belief in weakness, and the defenses themselves don't work. It just digs the hole deeper, creating confusion.
Treachery without and treachery within. This cycle of attack, defense, defense, attack. It's described as heavy bands of steel trapping the mind.
We end up seeing ourselves and others as victims under attack from illusions, trying to protect ourselves with more illusions. Clinging to those defenses keeps us enslaved.
It's a grim picture of the ego's logic. But then comes this radical turn. Defenselessness is strength. How does that work? What's the shift?
It's about recognizing where true strength lies. Embracing vulnerability, letting go of protecting the false self. That's the powerful act. It demonstrates we recognize the Christ, our true self.
When you realize your inherent invulnerability, the whole concept of attack just seems silly, like a child's game, as the lesson says.
And that realization frees up so much energy, so much attention. Instead of fighting shadows, we can focus on our actual function, extending love, saving the world. Defenselessness is empowering because we know we're fundamentally beyond harm. Defensiveness keeps us weak.
Our safety is rooted in understanding who we really are. And that understanding clears the way for us to become ministers,
Yeah.
which is a term the lesson introduces that we definitely need to unpack.
Yes, let's put a pin in that for a moment. Before we dive into ministry, maybe we should look at what this defensiveness actually looks like in practice, from small scale to large.
Good idea. On a very personal level, blaming others comes to mind. The Course sees this as more than just shifting responsibility. It's projecting our own unacknowledged guilt. The fault we see out there mirrors what's inside.
So by blaming, we just reinforce separation and attack the oneself. Making excuses does something similar, right? It's the ego trying to maintain self-righteousness, denying the mind's power in creating its experience.
Or withdrawing into silence. That can be a defense too, avoiding perceived vulnerability, refusing to engage with forgiveness or shared innocence.
And counterattacking is the most obvious form of the attack-defense cycle, trying to push guilt outwards, proving we're right, reinforcing the whole conflict.
Minimizing things too. The ego trying to pretend its faulty thinking isn't having an impact, trying to protect its illusion of perfection.
Okay, now scale that up. Community level. NIMBism seems like a classic example. A collective ego defending its perceived separate identity against anything that seems to threaten its comfort or status quo.
The threats, like development or new people, are seen as external attacks on a false community image. It's a group projection of fear.
And denial of systemic problems. That feels like a collective defense to maintain a narrative of innocence. Refusing to look at the underlying error and thinking that creates collective suffering, because acknowledging it would shatter the ego's false peace. Resistance to change in general fits here too. The ego fears losing control of its constructed reality. Any shift feels like an attack on its order, even a dysfunctional one.
Moving up to the national level. Things like protectionism in trade. A national ego defending perceived economic vulnerability, building walls, reinforcing scarcity instead of shared abundance.
Militarization, arms races. The ultimate expression of belief in external threats. Each nation's ego feels it must defend against others, creating that escalating cycle where real peace is impossible. It's denying the shared innocence of everyone.
Nationalist rhetoric plays into this, promoting specialness and separation, creating fear of the other to build internal cohesion, which is inherently defensive against global unity.
And when governments deny human rights abuses, that's a desperate defense of an image of righteousness, fearing that admitting error exposes the fragility of control.
So globally, what does it look like there?
Well, climate change in action, from some quarters at least, clinging to short-term illusions, refusing to acknowledge our interconnectedness, defensively denying that individual actions impact the whole.
Or block mentalities in international politics. Organizing conflict into predictable patterns gives the illusion of control, but actively prevents seeing a shared identity.
Resistance to international accountability, too. The ego demanding absolute sovereignty, refusing any higher unifying principle, defending against the idea that all nations are part of a larger whole.
Information control, propaganda.
Right. Manipulating perception to maintain power. Building walls of misunderstanding and fear to keep minds separate. All these examples really show the ego desperately trying to maintain separation and protect the false self. The core issue isn't external threat, but internal belief in guilt projected outward.
And the solution is always the same. Choose defenselessness. Recognize only love is real and safety is found in joining, not separation.
Which brings us back to that idea of ministry. The lesson insists we can't find salvation until we become ministers. What does the Course mean by that? It's clearly not about setting up a pulpit.
It's internal, experiential. The first ministry is inward. We are students first. And learning here means accepting the atonement for ourselves, recognizing our own complete innocence, our eternal connection to God, that the separation was just a mistaken idea. That's the light that comes, our escape being accomplished.
So step one is accepting our own true sinless nature. Then what?
Then the core function is seeing the Christ, the sinless self, not just in ourselves, but in everyone. Shifting perception from bodies and differences to the shared spiritual reality. The lesson connects this directly. Defenselessness is strength. It testifies to recognition of the Christ in you. It's about that inner vision.
And we teach this mainly through our perception. not necessarily through words.
You will not see the light until you offer it to all your brothers. As they take it from your hands, so will you recognize it as your own. How do we offer it? Through our own state of mind.
Our defenselessness itself is an offering. It shows there's nothing to fear.
Our peace extends naturally. Our forgiveness, seeing past illusions to the innocence in others, is a powerful offering.
Our joy, too. The lesson mentions the endless joy our function offers us, and our lack of judgment creates space for others to recognize the Christ in themselves.
So a minister in the Course isn't converting anyone, but undergoing an internal transformation that naturally radiates outwards. A changed perception, peace, a living example of defenseless love. This quiet mental shift is our purpose, our function.
And we can't fully grasp our own freedom until we extend this way of seeing. Continuing with fear and self-protection just keeps us stuck in those childish games. Awakening is presented as this joyful game where everyone wins.
The core choice remains. Christ's strength or our perceived weakness apart from him. The lesson acknowledges a transition time is okay, but consistent practice builds that connection to guidance, leading to real peace.
And the practice itself is evolving, taking on the earnestness of love. No need for fear, the goal is certain. Ministers of God can't fail.
So how do we put this into practice? The exercise outline seems designed to really anchor this idea of ministry through defenselessness.
Right. It says this form of practice will stick around for a while. We begin each day focusing on the core thought. In my defenselessness, my safety lies, for as long as possible.
5 minutes is the minimum starting point. 10 or 15 is better. And the idea is, as distractions fade, even half an hour won't feel like enough. We should aim for similar time at night with gratitude.
And hourly reminders are key. Remembering our faithfulness to God's will brings increasing peace. Even if it's just a minute or less when the hour strikes, we might forget sometimes or get caught up.
But when we can, we remember our role as ministers, our mission, God's love. We sit quietly, wait, listen for guidance for the next hour, and give thanks for the last one.
Over time, the goal is constant awareness. Hearing his voice, walking in true defenselessness, knowing heaven is with us, we won't want to turn away even while offering salvation because he makes it possible.
Today's theme is defenselessness. We kind of put it on like clothing as we start the day. Rise strong in Christ, let weakness fade. Remember, his strength is in us. Remind ourselves he's always there.
And call on that strength whenever we feel the pull of defensiveness undermining our purpose. Pause and hear him say, I am here.
The practice needs that earnestness of love to keep the mind steady. But no fear, no timidity. The goal is guaranteed.
Miss Sisters can't fail because the love, strength, peace flowing through them are his gifts. All we offer in return is defenselessness, laying aside illusions to see the sinless Christ.
It really is a profound shift offered here. Choosing defenselessness isn't about becoming weak. It's about claiming true strength and safety by letting go of the ego's defenses.
It lets us step fully into our function, radiating peace and joy.
This was quite the lesson.
I love how the Course is structured to patiently, while assuredly, guide us to salvation.
It really feels like we cannot fail, doesn't it?
I totally agree. This lesson feels like a confidence booster regardless of where we are on the path.
We hope you out there are feeling the gentle, patient guiding from the lessons. There really is no way to fail. Feel free to write us about it if you like.
Yes, please do. Our email is acim@theworldharmonyproject.org.
And our TikTok is at the World Harmony Project.
Thank you for listening.
And just remember, that consistent practice really builds the muscle of defenselessness. Every time you choose to lay down a defense, you're participating not just in your own peace, but in the salvation of the world.